ability to be great. You have to be willing to activate the great from within. It starts with you, and it starts right now. Yo, we back at it here with Tyler Davis.
GT, how you doing, man?
Man, just happy to be here, liberated.
Oh, yeah, man. Wake up. Wake up.
That's it, baby. Happy to go, ready to go.
Yeah, man. You had shared something by Jay Shetty.
Oh, yeah.
Here really recently about that, the first thing that you think about when you wake up.
No, it is. It's kind of like that same along the lines of spelling, like that Bruce Lee canvas you got hanging up in your office. You know what I mean? Like, they call it spelling for a reason, right? I mean, you can cast spells on yourself, and there's a lot of things that are self-inflicted wounds, right?
Well, yeah, whether you realize it or not.
Or whether you want it to be or not.
Yeah, that's a big thing.
Right? That's a big, massive shift between, it, but you're not willing to do anything about it.
Yeah. See, knowing the path and walking the path, two very different things.
Well, I think it's not even about what I think. It's what the masses think. People way smarter than me. We are reluctant to make it as easy as it really can be.
Oh, God, we overcomplicate nearly everything.
That's an interesting conversation.
Right.
Why? Well, because we love misery. We love suffering. We like hanging out in that space. That's what humans do.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing. You go on this autopilot that we've talked about before, but suffering becomes a way of life. It's like if you're not suffering, you create it.
Correct.
Because you don't know how to operate outside that realm.
It's your baseline.
Yeah.
It's your normal. And what we're challenging everyone, including ourselves, to do is to break the norms. Start from scratch. Be in the moment.
Yeah. Realize
that there's a lot of weight. You're way stronger than you think, especially if you knew how much baggage you've been carrying this whole time.
That's the big thing right there. Recognizing that baggage. Me personally, there's been a few different shifts.
Sure.
Where I realized the weight that I was self-inflicting on myself, and I was like, let me go ahead and put this down.
It's like Gru, right? From Despicable Me, light bulb.
Right.
It's just once you wake up to these truths, you don't go back to sleep.
Oh, man. And I compare it to, so I'll never forget the first time I picked up a set of 50-pound dumbbells and walked with them.
Yeah.
And I was like, I used to carry that around with me.
Oh, yeah.
Everywhere I went.
Walk with it.
Right.
Lean with it.
But when but it's such a big thing once you get rid of 100 pounds and then you put it back on yourself and you feel the weight, but it's the emotional side, the same thing.
Oh,
man,
no doubt.
You have that shift and you set that emotional baggage down. Man,
I often would get caught up in maybe over labeling or over classifying things and making it complicated. That's what you're doing.
Right.
You're making it complicated. But when you drill it down, you make it simple. Things stand out. We talked last week. We were talking about the kind of the echo chamber of perception. You get a perception of a perception of a perception. So this week, kind of want to talk more about the perception loop is what it really ends up happening. It's a constant feed that we end up having. And, since we recorded, the last episode, I've been spending a lot of time in this space and playing in this sandbox.
Same.
And it's been profound. I mean, profound. I haven't had this level of mental freedom from my mind, freedom from the matrix ever.
Yeah. And that, man, there's such a massive shift in that when you kind of just peel it back.
It's not real.
Things get really simple.
When you start thinking about the negative outcomes that can come from a perception of a perception of a perception, I mean, to the point where you misinterpreted something or you latched onto something for whatever reason. Who knows? Only you know. Maybe you don't know. It doesn't matter. You just know you didn't like it, right? So what we want to talk about today are 3 things you need to know about a perception loop. Okay, number 1, outside the fact that they're real. Okay, let's start with that.
Most
okay?
definitely.
That's a little bonus, warm up realization for our mind that we're flexing here this morning. But it's a real thing.
It really is.
It's unbelievable. But number 1, it robs you of your innate ability for what is, what your baseline, what you are, what the essence of you is. You're robbing yourself of that ability. You're robbing yourself of that shining through, and being your persona. This is the essence of who I am, but I'm getting caught up in all these perceptions and all these things that are in my head and bouncing and ping-ponging around. I can't possibly part the clouds and let the sunshine through.
See, and that's interesting that you say that, because for me, a lot of times I think we all, as a human species, we seek to know the answer of, like, what is life all about? And I think a lot of times we look externally. We're looking for something out there.
Mm-hmm.
And then by getting caught in these perception loops, we put up a barrier and a block. And like you just said, the clouds can never part. The truth can never find its way in, because you're constantly building these barriers in this perception loop of trying to figure it out. Start by stopping.
Stop the construction, right? Yeah, because you get these perceptions that get stacked on top of one another like a staircase.
Right. And then what happens when you got to knock down a layer, and then you start building from a shaky foundation?
Yeah.
And then man, you don't know what's real.
You don't, and you find yourself very vulnerable,
mm-hmm.
right? And then, like, well, how do you find your way out of that hole, quote unquote, that you found yourself in?
It comes like that mirror maze.
It does. When you think of things robbing you of your ability, that's a great motivation.
Yeah, it is.
Like, if you recognize that something's robbing you of your ability to shine, man, if that doesn't motivate you to at least give it credence, I don't know what will.
But I think we both know there's a lot of people that do come to that realization and stay there.
There's safety there, right?
Yeah.
You know what to expect. We've talked about that often on, many different topics. There's these baseline truths that apply.
And this is that deeper dive into that stuff.
For sure. It just has blown my mind, the things I haven't thought about over the past week.
Wow. Yep. I mean, that for me, that's that same thing that of a physically fit video I shared not too long ago about the EQ, the equalizer. You get further ahead by removing.
Yes. Man, you're making space. You know what I mean? So, and we'll get into that a little bit more here in a minute. But, we just want to make sure that we are aware of what's robbing us.
Dang.
From shining through, being the light.
That's a good way to put it.
I mean, think of it like the time thief, like these perceptions that we get caught up in. Well, F that, da-da. Well, yeah, watch me, try me, da-da-da. And you run these scenarios through your mind.
Right.
They're all hypothetical, not based in reality, really.
No, you're creating multi-dimensional outcomes.
It's like you're creating your own multiverse of a situation, and then watch it.
Yeah. What if? And then none of them actually come to reality, yet you spent all this time creating it.
Well, then the way you felt, the way you maybe acted, maybe you weren't in the moment.
And that's the crazy thing. Your body physically responds with chemical releases and all this different stuff based on emotion.
Oh, yeah. Nice little segue into, like, number 2. What are you losing yourself? Well, you lose yourself to the matrix is what you do, okay? Yeah. When you start getting in these perception loops, you're gone.
Follow the white rabbit.
You are plugged in to something that isn't real, but it's grabbed you.
Right.
It is more than grabbed you. It is controlling you.
Right.
Perceptions are the puppet master, and you're just attached to all these different strings.
Right. Yeah, man. And then we find ourselves thriving on that.
You receive sustenance from the matrix. So now you're feeding off that, because if you went so long, that's normal feeling.
Right.
To say, have a chip on your shoulder, right? I mean, we justify these actions because it's so, like, non-conscious most of the time. You're not even aware of what's happening. I know I wasn't. And I'm sitting here, man, but, like, if you want the truth and you see the truth, it will set you free, right?
Man.
So when you enter the matrix, you're basically saying, I'm freezing or I'm going backwards from an evolutionary standpoint.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to put myself in the best position to get the greatest gain day in and day out.
Right.
I'm getting sucked into the matrix. And
such a slippery slope.
But you know how you get out of it, right? Number 3, the recognition will liberate you.
First thing you got to do is recognize.
Oh, man. When you give it the truth that is there, the credence that it deserves, right? Giving it its due, it's a reckoning.
Oh, absolutely. Man, I think a lot of times that's like that journey of 1,000 miles. Like, you might be standing at the base of Everest looking up. Is it going to suck? Possibly. Yep. You do it anyway.
Oh, yeah. What's the loneliest mile of that race?
Yeah, man.
The last one.
Right. You all alone.
Ain't going to be crowded. The last mile is the least crowded. Yeah. Okay? I'm not saying that you don't have to have perseverance. This isn't easy.
No, and I think that's a great analogy, because you got to realize you're not doing this for anyone but you.
Well, it comes back a few weeks ago. We talked about putting you at the center of you.
Right.
Okay. It's not being selfish either. Okay. When doing something to liberate yourself from your mind, to free yourself from the shackles, the bondage of repeated thought loops and perception loops. They just go on and on and on. And then you have a perception of a perception of a perception. And then that dictated your thoughts, your happiness, your attention, your focus, your drive.
And then people wonder why they hit snooze.
Oh.
Back to why you don't want to wake up. The first thing you say is, I'm tired.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you know what's ahead of you. All this self-inflicted suffering.
What's the thing is, like, there's a part of you that knows it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other subconscious is just going with.
But I guess what we're saying is we want to call attention to this.
Yeah.
Pay attention to the things and stay centered. Don't make an assessment. You don't have to constantly be sizing something up.
Right. The next time somebody says, hey, tell me about your opinion on this, try just being like, you know what? I don't really have one.
No, I mean,
and then
right.
End of it.
Yeah, you know what? Like, hey, I'm more interested in what, I really haven't thought about it like that. Maybe you have. What do you think?
Yep.
And just turn around and be a journalist on them. You don't need to always give an opinion if someone's soliciting it, because they're not always soliciting your opinion.
Right.
So that's another thing for another day. But I just felt compelled to really talk about this. I'll do a little follow-up this week, because I spent so much time in these perception loops. And I've really playing in the sandbox, like I mentioned, over the past week. My goodness. And I'm here to tell you, folks, like, just cataloging 7 to 8 perceptions that just kind of came up. I was wrong on all of them.
It's powerful.
All of them.
Yeah. What
I had said to myself was not accurate.
Yeah.
And then that's the liberating part.
I was going to say, that's got to be such a freeing feeling.
It's, I wouldn't change anything, because, you're here, you're sitting in this chair, and there's a way you got here, and there's a reason.
Exactly.
But I tell you what, there's a 10-year younger version of myself that just gave me a high five.
For real. And that's the big thing, man, because you didn't have any idea where you'd be in 10 years. Maybe you didn't even think about it. But the amazing part that you can reflect on it and gain wisdom over the last 10 years and be where you're at today. Which is all we're trying to get for other people to do, is just be open up to it. Open.
We're trying to set people free right here. And you pay attention to these perception loops. They are real. You should check out some info from Charles Cooley, like we mentioned last week. There is some content out there. I ordered some books. There's some stuff. It is mind-blowing concept, okay? Yep. And you want to talk about being able to put down the prescriptions to help you get control of your mind, put down the peace pipe, whatever it may be.
Man.
This right here is, it's a new drug.
Yeah, and his book, right from the jump, right from the introduction, you can kind of gain perspective on how this happens to us.
Sure.
We gain all these perception lenses as we age and we grow up and we go through stuff.
Well, that's the thing. It's like you talk about, like, folks, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. This is why. Right. They're set in their ways because they're set in their perceptions.
Yep.
Change your perception.
Yep. Change your reality.
That's it. 110%. So 3 things you need to know about a perception loop. Number 1, it robs you of your innate ability for what is. And when I'm saying what is within you.
Yep.
The true essence of you can never shine through. The things that people see in you that you don't see in yourself, this is the reason you don't see it.
Right. This is why meditation is such a big thing.
Massive.
Stop looking out there. Start looking in.
For real. And you might see some things and might value some things that other people see in you that you're not finding as valuable as you should.
Yep.
Number 2, when you get into these perception loops, you are entering the matrix. It ain't Cedar Point. Okay, it ain't no top thrill dragster, okay?
You don't want the fast pass on this one.
No, you do not. Entering the matrix is just saying, I'm okay with where things are at.
Yep.
I'm okay with just going on autopilot.
I was just about to say,
I'm okay with constantly being stuck in my mind, the bondage of my mind. I challenge you to challenge that.
Yep.
And lastly, the recognition will liberate you. It will set you free.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
it
yeah.
will.
The truth will set you free.
Yeah, man.
Oh, man.
There's truth to it. And I would say we both say that just because we're experiencing it in the now.
For sure.
Right now.
And for everybody that has had something happen to you, just like Tyler and I have, okay, it liberates you.
If you allow it to.
If you allow it. If you wake up to these things. If you change your perception.
Yeah, man. For real.
Come on. Get down with us. Move a needle. A little bit. 1 to 3% a day. Just catch yourself one perception loop.
That's all that matters.
Stop getting into it. Stop even going down that road one thought at a time.
Yep.
And we'll catch you next time on Activate the Great. I want to take a quick minute to thank our sponsor, ccmindiana.com, for all your mortgage needs. Very competitive, ready to rock, ready to help you be a pre-approved buyer that can compete. Ready to get pre-approved for your next mortgage? Stop by ccmindiana.com and see how we can help.